Okay, this is going to be a quick one, and it's a question from Coco Pops. Let me just read to you the question. Dear Darkness, I would like to know, what has the US currency, the US dollar, got to do with gold? I've been hearing a lot of news about that, and I just want to know, what is the relationship between gold and the US dollar? And I happen to have a lot of US dollars, as I get paid in US dollars, and I was just wondering, is it a good idea to keep my money as it is, or should I convert it to another currency? I'm a bit concerned, as I happen to have a lot of US dollars. Well, that's a good problem to have. Okay, alright, okay, let's get the Coco Pops question. Now, before we actually go into the whole subject of how do we link currency, hard currency, with precious metals, it may be a good idea to go back into history. And if we go back into history, we realize that this idea is not new at all. And the Romans did it with the denarius. The denarius was a currency that was widely circulated throughout the Roman Empire, and basically it was pegged to the price of minted silver. All right. So for each denarius, basically it would carry the equivalent value of silver. All right. Okay, get it? Now, that was during the reign of Augustus, but by the time of Nero, and Nero was pretty open-minded. In fact, was so open-minded that his brains were spilling out. When Rome was burning, for example, he was playing his violin, apparently. And by that stage, the denarius was no longer the currency of choice, because the silver content had gone down from 100% to less than 50%. And by that stage, the currency had totally been debased, and it was replaced by a basket of other currencies and commodities. Even salt, for example, commanded an intrinsic value. That's why today we have the word salary derives from the word salt. And when I say I pay you salary, right, you have to understand that during Roman times, salt was the equivalent of legal tender. That was how much the denarius had been debased. Now, what has this got to do with the US dollar? Well, a lot. Because the US dollar has also been debased, right? Because before Nixon in 1973 decided to go off the gold standard, the US dollar was actually pegged to gold, and that meant that for each dollar in circulation, governments had to ensure that they had the equivalent of gold to back up the face value of that currency. And this was held together by this system known as the Bretton Woods system, and it was a system that ruled the world for nearly 50 years. And it was a very robust system. It was so robust that it obligated countries which subscribed to this system to ensure that they kept their currencies in check by ensuring that whatever they had out there in the market was backed up in gold equivalents. So, I mean, if you open up their vaults, you won't find things like their grandmother's dentures or tube of Mentos, a half-eaten sandwich. I mean, you will actually find rows and rows of gold bars, right? Now, fast forward to 1973, what Nixon did was he needed to buy a lot of aeroplanes and aircraft carriers and submarines, because he was fighting the communists, not only in Vietnam, but also there was a Cold War. So Nixon was basically a crook, and he came up with this idea. Why should we peg ourselves to the gold currency? Because the whole thing is psychological, it's artificial, it doesn't make sense. And furthermore, the whole idea of pegging your currency to the gold standard did not come without penalties. There were certain penalties, but I'm not going to go into that. Okay, and so he actually persuaded Congress to buy into the idea of depegging. And what you notice after Nixon, all right, if this is the time chart going forward from 1973, 74, 75, right up to present day, and this is basically the amount of US dollars that's printed. Okay, the higher I go up, the more there is. After Nixon, what happens is that you get this exponential curve that goes all the way up, and today you have Obama, which is somewhere around here, and Bush was somewhere around here. So it was before, after, and you could see basically there was this huge increase in the US government printing money in a way where there is no fiscal discipline whatsoever, right? And you ask yourself, how can this be done, and in what way does this affect the US dollar? Well, the first thing is that it devalues the US dollar. It debases it, because as soon as you print money and you print it without regard to what you have in your bank account, you are actually just printing paper. And we are starting to see this because the US dollar has gone down against all other currencies. All right. But having said that, the US dollar is has basically lost its value. What I need to emphasize, Coco Pops, is that there is currently no substitute to the US dollar. All right. Now, many people, as far back as 5 years ago, used to think that euro was a good substitute, but you look at the euro right now and they're totally short. So you can forget that idea. Euro is definitely not a preferred currency to replace the US dollar. So what I'm trying to say here is that if you have US dollar, I think that you are good to go.